Good morning, all of you, all the principals, PGTs, TGTs, and all the students and the viewers who are watching these webinar sessions. This is Muhammad Riazuddin, Principal Telangana Model School, Jarasangam Mandal from Reddy district. Now we have the webinar session from the subject Commerce and Accountancy, Intermediate Second Year. The topic is internal trade or domestic trade. In that, in the previous class, we studied about the different types of wholesale and retail trade. In the today's session, we are going to learn about the distribution chain and special economic zones, special focus on Telangana state. This session will be handled by V. Premlada, PGT Commerce from Telangana Model School, Bullaram, Jinnaram Mandal, Sangareddy district. So I request Premlada Madam to handle the sessions. Now over to Premlada Madam. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. A wonderful morning to all the principals, teachers, students, and the viewers. I am V. Premlata, PGT Commerce from Telangana Model School, Bollaram, Jinnaram. The subject coordinator for second year Commerce and Accountancy is Mr. Muhammad Riazuddin, sir, Principal, Telangana Model School, Jarasangam. Today I am here to discuss on the topic Internal Trade, that is Unit 4, Chapter 7. Already we discussed session 1 on this same lesson, Internal Trade. This is a continuation class of the previous session. Today we will be discussing here in this chapter. Already we discussed in the previous chapter meaning of trade, types of trade, that is internal trade and external trade, that is home trade and foreign trade. Features of internal trade, types of retail trade, distribution chain. Today in this session we will discuss from distribution chain, special economic zones, cess in Telangana state. In the previous class already we discussed what is trade. Trade is again divided into two types, that is home trade and foreign trade. Home trade we call it as internal trade or domestic trade. Foreign trade, external trade, international trade. Home trade again is divided into wholesale trade and retail trade. Foreign trade again is divided into import trade, export trade and entrepot trade. We have discussed in the previous session about all the different types of trade along with pictures and examples. Okay. And again in detail we discussed about retail trade and types of retail trade. Itinerant retailers and fixed shop retailers are the two types of retail trade. In itinerant retailers, the businessman who does not have, or the sellers who does not have any permanent place to sell the goods, they always roam from one particular place to other particular place in search of customers. So them they call as itinerant retailers. So different types of itinerant retailers also we have seen: hawkers and peddlers, periodic itinerants, street stalls and cheap jacks. And fixed shop retailers, in this small scale fixed shop retailers we have seen, and even we discussed about large scale fixed shop retailers. In small scale fixed shop retailers, different types of shops we have discussed, that is general stores, single line stores, specialty stores, street shops, second hand goods shops and seconds shop. Now even we discussed the difference between second hand goods shop and second shop. Second hand goods shop is already used goods shop where you will find already used goods. Second shops is, the difference is, second shop is the shop where you find the defective goods. So these goods you will be find for some discount as the goods are defective, having some defect. So that is the difference between second hand goods shop and seconds shop. And even we discussed about large scale fixed retailers, that is departmental stores, and we have seen advantages and disadvantages of departmental stores, multiple shops, that also we have seen advantages and disadvantages of multiple shops also. Here multiple shops means having different you can say outlets, not at one particular place but the same company will be having outlets at different particular places, so it is very handy for the consumers to purchase the standard goods. So even we have seen their advantage and disadvantage also. Mail order retail trade and consumer cooperative stores, and we have seen even advantage and disadvantage of having consumer cooperative store in the previous session. Now today's session we will discuss about distribution chain. Now what is distribution chain? A distribution chain is a chain of business or intermediaries through which a good or service passes until it reaches the final buyer or the end user. Okay. Distribution chain can include producers, wholesalers, retailers and consumers. A distribution chain is path by which all goods and services must travel to arrive at the intended consumer. Okay, that goods should travel in a path to reach the consumer from the producer. Okay, so that chain we call it as a distribution chain. Okay, it also describes the pathway payments make from the end consumer to the original vendor. Distribution chains can be short or long and depend on the number of intermediaries required to deliver or produce a product or service. Okay, the distribution chain can be of different types. It can be long chain or it can be a short chain depending upon the number of intermediaries included in that. Okay. So here for example, a producer, from the producer, the wholesaler purchases the goods, from the wholesaler the retail purchases in small quantities and wholesaler purchases from producer in large quantities, and retailer will directly contact the consumer. He will have direct interaction with the consumer. Retailer will be having direct interaction with the consumer and he will sell the final product to the consumer to satisfy his human wants. So this is the distribution chain. So this distribution chains are broken into two different forms. One is direct chain and the other one is indirect chain. Now what is a direct chain? A direct chain allows the consumer to make purchases from the manufacturer. When the consumer directly purchases the goods from the manufacturer, then we call it as a direct chain. The producer can sell directly to his customers. In direct chain, the producer will be selling the goods directly to his customers. These channels take the shortest route to the consumers. So as there are no intermediaries, it becomes a very shortest route. Direct chain. Producer, consumer. That's it. No intermediaries in between. Okay. So the chain becomes the shortest route. Certain goods like industrial machinery, luxury automobiles, or you can say computers, etc. are directly sold to the consumer. Okay, so as there are no intermediaries, what happens? The cost also reduces. If there are no intermediaries, the cost also reduces. So here the manufacturer directly sells the goods to the consumer. Okay, some manufacturers open their own retail shops in many localities and sell goods directly to consumers. The best example is Bata Shoe Company shops. So the company itself has its own outlets, showrooms, so that it is convenient in different places, so that it is convenient for the consumers and it is reachable for the consumers. As there are no middlemen, the cost also is reduced and there is no direct inter. The route also, the chain also becomes very short. Okay, then we have indirect chain. In indirect chains are a indirect chain allows a consumer to buy the goods from a wholesaler or retailer. For example, indirect chains are typical of goods that are sold in traditional brick and mortar stores. Generally, if there are more intermediaries involved in the distribution chains, the price of goods may increase. The price of goods may increase if the intermediaries are more when compared with the direct chain. So here, indirect chains are typical for goods that are sold in traditional brick and mortar stores. Okay, and you can see all day-to-day goods which are sold all come under indirect chain only. Okay. But in direct chain, the cost may be reduced because the consumer will be purchasing directly from the producer. Now, what are the different types of distribution chains? While a distribution chain may seem endless at times, there are three main types of chains, all of which include the combination of a producer, wholesaler, retailer and consumer. Okay, so when we talk about distribution chains, again we have different types of distribution chains depending upon the number of intermediaries included in that. The first channel is the longest because it includes all four: producer, wholesaler, retailer and consumer. Okay, the wine and adult beverage industry is a perfect example of this long distribution channel. In this industry, a winery cannot sell directly to a retailer. It operates in the three-tier system, meaning the law requires the winery to first sell its products to a wholesaler who then sells the products to the retailer. The retailer then sells the products to the end consumer. Okay, this channel is also suitable when the producer operates under the limited time of or limited line of products. Okay, when the producer is selling some limited line of products, then this channel is very much suitable for the producer. Okay, so finance available to the producer is also limited. When the finance available is limited, or when the product line is also limited, wholesalers handle specialized goods. Wholesalers and retailers can provide goods promotion support. So then this system is very useful for the producer. So this is the first channel and the longest because everybody are included in this. There is a producer. From producer, the goods are purchased by the wholesaler. From wholesaler, the goods are purchased by the retailer, and the retailer will be selling the goods to the end user, that is the consumer. So everybody is included and all the intermediaries are included in this chain. So this chain becomes the longest, and for limited line of products and to when the finance is also limited for the producer, then this will be the best chain for the producer. The second chain cuts out the wholesaler. In the second type of distribution chain, we don't have wholesaler, where the producer sells directly to a retailer who sells the product to the end consumer. In the second chain, we don't have the wholesaler. The producer directly sells the products to the retailer, and retailer will sell the products to the consumer. That means we have only one intermediary. Okay, so this is the best chain when goods like electrical appliances, fans and radios, ready-made garments and a host of other articles fall in this category. And this channel is also suitable when the goods are of perishable nature. Okay, when the goods are of perishable nature, intermediate should be less if goods are perishable. If the chain is very long, by the time the goods reach the consumer, they become perish. Okay, so it is very much useful, this chain, when the goods are of perishable nature, and quick distribution is very much essential. Okay, however, the manufacturer will have to undertake such functions as transportation, warehousing and financing also. Okay, so in the second chain, we don't have wholesaler. The retailer directly purchases from the producer and the consumer will purchase from the retailer. The third and final chain is a direct to consumer model. Okay, in the third chain, it is a direct to consumer model where the producer sells its products directly to the end consumer. Amazon, which uses its own platform to sell kindness to its customers, is an example of a direct model. This is the shortest distribution channel possible, cutting out both the wholesaler and the retailer. Okay. In this case, buyers can be directly contacted and goods can be sold by direct personal approach. In here, the producer will have direct personal approach with the consumer. Okay, you will not have any intermediaries here. You will not have wholesaler. You will not have any retailers. Directly, the consumer will purchase the goods from the producer. Now, when we are doing any trade, choosing the right distribution chain is also very, very important. Not all distribution chains work for all products. Okay, all distribution chains are not useful. For example, if you are taking any perishable product, if you are taking a long run where all the intermediaries are included, it is not advisable for such products. So, depending upon the product, even we have to select or choose the right distribution chain. Okay, so all distribution chains work for all, not all distribution chains work for all products. Okay, so it's important for companies to choose the right one. The following aspects must be considered in selecting the chain. The channel should vision on strategic vision, including its sales goals. Okay, so whatever channel you are selecting, the chain you are selecting, your sales goals also, you should have a vision of your sales goals also. Okay, because in the market you need to have your goal also, how much you need to sell in a particular day, what is your goal to sell in the week, for 15 days or for 1 month or for 6 months, for 1 year, what is your goal for selling the goods. So depending upon that, you have to select your chain. The method of distribution should add value to the consumer. Okay, even whatever method you are selecting for distribution, it also should add value to the consumer. The company should consider how quickly it wants its products to reach the buyer. Even this aspect is also very important. Or depending upon this aspect, the chain can be chosen. Okay, for example, if you want the product should be reached very fast to your consumer, then your chain distribution chain should be very short. Okay, so the company should consider how quickly it wants its products to reach the buyer. Certain products are best served by a direct distribution channel such as meat or produce, while others may benefit from an indirect chain. So some products need a direct, that is perishable goods. They need a direct channel. If they are not perishable, they may take long time. You can go for other long distribution chains also. Okay, that means you can say the dry products which are very dry, distribute very quickly or fast, but perishable goods or which spoil very fast need to be distributed very fast. Then you have to see for the shortest distribution chain. Okay, if a company chooses multiple distribution chains such as selling their products online and through a retailer, the chain should not conflict with one another. That also the producer should keep in mind. Company should strategize so one chain does not overpower the other. Okay. So if a company is choosing any multiple distribution chains, the chain should not conflict with one another. That should be kept in observation, whether the chains are overlapping or not. So they have to even consider that also. Okay. Next, we'll discuss about special economic zones, children. Very important topic. Frequently asked question from this special economic zones in your final exam paper. You will be getting one or the other question from this topic. So, special economic zones. What are these special economic zones? What is this? Special economic zones is a concept introduced with a view to attract foreign investment and adapt latest technology. To adapt the latest technology and to attract the foreign investment. The central government and state government this concept of special economic zone is introduced. Okay. Says in India are areas that offer incentives to resident business. They offer competitive infrastructure, duty-free exports, tax incentives and other measures designed structure to make them easier to conduct business. The laws and incentives pertaining to cess are notified by the states from time to time. Okay, so when we are talking about special economic zones, whenever the government feel that some areas need to be developed, okay, which are economically or backward areas, or which areas need to be developed, so to attract the investors, foreign investment or domestic investment, whatever it is, or to bring out the latest technology, what the government does is select some areas and declare them as special economic zones. So if a businessman set up a business in special economic zones, then what the benefits he is going to get, what benefits the government is going to give them, they will be having duty free exports, no need to pay any duty for exports, tax incentives will be there, and other measures designed structure to make them easier to conduct business. So many benefits will be given by the government for the manufacturers or the producers if they set up business in this special economic zones. Okay, so frequently the laws pertaining to this says incentives pertaining to sales are notified by the states time to time. Okay, see here, state-wise distribution of approved sales, and this says spread all over India. Government approved says, and says formally approved and approved in principle. These are the different areas where says has been spread in India. Okay, here you have even state-wise distribution of approved says, state, total approved, and total notified, and total in operational. Okay, which are working. So in Maharashtra, Telangana, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, and Gujarat, here we have examples of few countries, states here, and total approved and total notified and total how many are in operational. Okay, so mainly to develop a particular area which is very backward economically, the government will set up this special economic zones. Special economic zone implies the following zones. So what comes under special economic zones? Free trade zones, export processing zones, free zones, industrial parks, free ports, urban enterprise zones. So these all come under cess only. Here see a multi-product cess. Okay, example. Okay, so the core objective of cess is balanced and backward area development. So the main objective of cess is, setting up of cess is for balanced and a backward area development. Okay, so what cess implies? Cess implies the following zones: free trade zones, export processing zones, that is EPZ, free zones, industrial parks, free ports, urban enterprise zones. So even in, if you see in Hyderabad, recently also many industrial parks or industrial hubs have been developed. Not only in Hyderabad, even other parts of the state also we have seen that the government is taking initiative to implement these industrial parks. Okay, this is mainly to have a balanced and backward area development. So this is a small picture you have here about a multi-product cess. Now, what are the objectives of cess? What are the objectives of cess, special economic zone? One is generation of additional economic activity. What is the objective of cess? Generation of additional economic activity. So if cess economic zone is there, definitely there will be additional economic activity, because more investment is attracted, so there will be more additional economic activity taking place. Next, promotion of exports and goods and services. So even to promote exports of goods and services also, this cess plays a very key important role. Next, promotion of investment from domestic and foreign sources. Promotion of investment, not only our domestic producers, even to attract the foreign investors, The government initiates such programs. Okay. Next, creation of employment opportunities. When you have such industrial parks or hubs, definitely there is a creation of employment opportunities. Development of infrastructural facilities. If a area or a backward area is developed, definitely you will be having that particular area will be having all infrastructural facilities. It will be getting, you will be getting roads, you will be getting flyovers, so many developments will be done. Okay, the area will be developed and you will be getting all the infrastructural facilities in that particular areas. Okay, so through this says the government, such schemes, the government would try to attract investors and industrialists to establish their units in undeveloped or backward areas. It is mainly to develop the undeveloped backward areas. An industrial establishing his unit in the cess would be given tax concession. That the producer, whoever is investing or setting up a business or setting up an industry in this special economic zone, he will be getting tax concessions, special incentives, and so on. Why a particular person should invest in that particular backward area? The government should attract the investors also. So this is one way of attracting the investors to invest in backward areas. Okay, so the government will be giving some tax concessions and even they will be giving some special incentives to the manufacturers who set up business in this special economic zones. Okay, the backward areas are identified by the government for this purpose and it is called as cess. Okay, for whatever purpose the backward areas are identified, they call it as cess, which is regulated by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Okay, which ministry will be regulating this? Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Facilities to the industrial units in the cess are provided by the government. Special economic zones are marketplaces meant for having cluster of same type of production entities. Okay, so they will be having all same. For example, in near high-tech city, Raheja Mindspace, that is also a special economic zone. So here you have all industrial, all IT related industries set up there. Okay, so whenever a cess area is located, you will be having identical business in that particular area. Okay, so this is about the cess and objectives of cess. Now what are the benefits of cess? What are the benefits of having cess? The following are the benefits. One is first, employment generation. You will be having employment generation. Cess are viewed as highly effective tools for job creation. Okay, highly effective tool for job creation. Cess are highly effective tools for job creation. Okay, they are treated as highly effective tools for job creation. Next, you have economic development. Cess are viewed as the engines for economic development. Okay, they are viewed as an engine for economic development. Growth of labor intensive manufacturing industries. Establishment of cess would lead to fast growth of labor intensive manufacturing and service industries in the country. Okay, so setting up of cess in a particular backward area, definitely it is growth of labor intensive manufacturing industry only. Okay, when we say employment generation, definitely growth of manufacturing industry is also related. Next, balanced regional development. What are the other benefit of having cess is balanced regional development. Okay, cess are beautiful crafted initiatives for achieving the balanced regional development. To achieve balanced regional development, the government will identify the backward areas and they declare them as special economic zones and attract the investors. Either it could be foreign investors or the domestic investors, so that there will be balanced regional development all over the country or state. Okay, next, capacity building. Cells are important for strong capacity building. Okay, they play a very key important role. Next, export performance. What are the benefits of having cells? Next important benefit, it is export performance. Cess induce dynamism in the export performance of a country by eliminating distortions resulting from tariffs and other trade barriers, the corporate tax system and excessive bureaucracy. Okay, these all can be eliminated because of cess. Because whenever the government is attracting the foreign investors or the domestic investors, it is giving so many incentives, tax evasions. Okay, so because of which there is a lot of benefit for even the manufacturers and producers, and even the export performance also can be increased. Okay, these are the benefits of having special economic zones. Now says in Telangana state. Here you can see a picture that says in Hyderabad, India. You have 584 says approved in India, 322 notified, and 143 in operational. In Hyderabad, 57 approved are around Hyderabad, 18 operational, covering 2,200 hectares of greenfield development. Okay, says in Telangana state. At present in India, out of 355 notified says, a total of 223 are operational. Okay. In Telangana state, there are 29 cells in operation. 26 cells have been developed by private developers in the districts of Rangareddy, Warangal and Medak with an area of 2012.8 acres. 2012.8 acres. Okay. So in Telangana state, there are 29 cells in operation in the following fields. So what are the fields in which mainly the cells in Telangana is operating? One is biotechnology in this field. Next, information technology, that is IT. We have even this Raheja Mindspace in Hyderabad, that is information technology. It is a IT hub and industrial park there. Information technology enabled services, that is ITES. Next, in gems and jewelry also you have special economic zones, pharmaceutical formulation, aerospace and precision engineering, aviation, electronic hardware and software. In all these areas, in all these fields, the CES is operated. Okay, so in our state there are 29 CES in operation in the following fields. Okay, at present India, how many are notified? Total 355 are notified, out of which how many are operational? 223 CES are in operational. Okay, this is about CES in Telangana state. See, this is the Raheja Mahindra space, which is in IT hub. There's a says in Hyderabad gets solar power. So Hyderabad in Raheja Mindspace near High Tech City, you have says in Hyderabad get solar power. Okay. So the notified says in Telangana state are located in the districts of Rangareddy, Mahbubnagar, Medak and Warangal. The total area of CES is 1090.6 acres of land. Most of the CES in Telangana state under TSIIC, that is Telangana State Industrial Infrastructure Corporation Limited. Telangana State Industrial Infrastructure Corporation Limited. Okay, so most of the CES in Telangana state are under Telangana State Industrial Infrastructure Corporation Limited. Now the problems of CES. So it's having all the merits. Even what are the few problems of setting up of this CES? In Telangana, there are 28 CES of top companies figure in the list of having floated non-operational CES such as Phoenix, MR and Genpact. Okay, most of the non-operational CES are located in private land. The government has 1942.017 hectares notifies as CES, of which 1410.66 hectares are vacant. Okay. See, the government has 1942 hectares, but 1,410 hectares are vacant. That is, it is idle. They are not utilized. So this is a problem of setting up CES here. In the last 3 years, at least 108 letter of approvals have been cancelled due to lack of progress. Okay, setting up of CES is a time-taking process, and delay in commencement of commercial operations is due to reasons. Okay, so setting up of CES is also a very lengthy process. So there is a delay in commencement of commercial operations also. Okay, so time lapse in getting approval from state government agencies, it takes a lengthy process. Adverse business climate due to the global recession, due to the global market, there is a very bad business climate. Changes in fiscal incentives, this is also one of the major problem we can say. Since most of the sets are IT and ITES based, and due to crunch established in IT corridor, the state government is pushing to decentralize IT growth centers and spread them across the districts evenly. The state government is providing incentives to companies to relocate the areas where land is available. About 136 of the 283.47 hectares of land belonging to TSIIC is vacant across various locations. Okay. With the changed policy of decentralizing IT sector, the vacant land identified for CES would be effectively utilized. So, what is the problem we are having? We are having land. The areas have been selected for CES, but the companies are not set up. There are multiple reasons. It could be for lengthy process, or not getting approval, or because of global recession, or changes in fiscal incentives, anything. It could be any reason. Now, and even the demand is for IT hub. So the government, what it is planning now, to decentralize the IT hub and to spread that IT hub to different areas, other areas wherever the land is identified. If the government decentralize or initiates the IT companies to set up their companies where land is available. If you take Hyderabad, already here land, you will not get any vacant land. So where there is land, if the companies can shift their companies to the place where there is place, then it will be very easy and we can solve such problems. So what are the incentives for setting up of CES? Some of the incentives offered by central and state governments for setting up of CES are as follows. Okay, see, why any company is attracted, either it could be foreign investors or it could be domestic investors. Why they need to come and set up? See, the government is giving some incentives, the government is giving some benefits to them. That is the reason they are coming and setting up of the business. So what are these incentives given by the government? It is duty-free import and domestic procurement of goods for the development, operation and maintenance of the company. Okay, duty-free import. That means whenever you are purchasing any raw material or anything, you no need to pay any duty on that. Okay. And domestic procurement of goods for the development, operation and maintenance of the company. So for procuring the goods or importing goods for development, they need no need to pay any duties. So if they are giving such incentives, it is very catchy, or it attracts the investors. Next, 100% IT exemption in export income for the first 5 years. That means they no need to pay income tax for first 5 years. Okay, no need to pay any income tax for the first 5 years. 100% no need to pay. Okay, 50% for next 5 years. Okay, after 5 years, next 5 years they will be paying only 50% on their total profits. They will be paying only 50% of the tax of the export profit in reinvested in business for the next 5 years, and 50% of the export profit reinvested in the business for next 5 years. So these are the tax benefits, tax concessions what they are going to get from the government. So this also attracts the investors, either it could be foreign investors or the domestic investors. So tax exemption is there, then it is very benefit even for the businessmen, okay, or the manufacturers. Okay, exemption of GST and levies imposed by state government, even they will get exemptions from GST also, okay, and levies imposed by the state government. All state government taxes or whatever GST they are paying, everything will be all indirect taxes, okay, that all also will be exempted. Single window clearance for all the state government approvals. Single window means that is at one go only they will be getting the clearance. No lengthy process will be there, or they will not take much time to give the approvals. Okay, so single window clearance for all the state government approvals. So this all will be very beneficial for the producers and the manufacturers, and which attracts them to set up business in this special economic zones. Okay, thus the cess in Telangana state are being given special treatment for the development of industrial sector in the house. Okay, because of this all the even in Telangana state are being given special treatment for the development of industrial sector. Okay, so the government should take initiative. Why we should have this cess or anything? Why the government should give such incentives? If the government does not take initiative, then we will not have any regional balanced development, cannot happen in the country. The government need to develop. See, no one will be wishing to set up a business where there are no roads, no facilities, where the areas are not developed, which will not be easy for them to start a business in a new particular areas which are underdeveloped. Okay, so if government is giving such incentives, it attracts the investors to go and set up their business in this special economic zone areas. If not, everybody will be interested to set up business in developed areas only, near to cities, near where they have all the infrastructural facilities, where they have all the easy, like transport will be very much easy for them. Already well established localities they have well established buildings they have, so it will be very easy for them to start the business. And if they are very much near to the city, even the people hiring people also becomes very easy for them. Okay, so when government gives such incentives, encourages the foreign investors or the domestic investors, then only people will come and set up business in backward areas. For that reason, we need to have such special economic zones, or the government should take such initiative programs to set up such zones. So what have we learned, children, till now? In the previous session, we have discussed what is trade and what are the different types of trade, that is home trade and foreign trade. And we have seen even in what are the features of internal trade and types of retail trade also we have seen, itinerants and fixed retail shops, and again in that small scale and large scale, that all we discussed in the previous session, types of retail trade. And we have seen even the distribution chain, 3 types of distribution chains. In the first long chain, where you have producer, wholesaler, then you have retailer, then you have consumer. Okay, and the second type of distribution chain we have seen, where you have producer, wholesaler is eliminated, then you have retailer, and you have your consumer. Okay, so whenever you want to distribute any or do business for any perishable goods, so such a shortcut chains are very useful. Then you have a very short chain, distribution chain, where the goods are directly sold from the producer to the consumer, that is from the producer to the consumer. Only producer and consumer will be there, and no intermediaries. You will not have any wholesaler, you will not have any retailer. Directly the goods can be purchased from the producer to the consumer. So if the intermediaries are reduced, the cost of the product can also be reduced. If intermediaries are more, the product cost may also increase more, because everyone will have their share of profit. Okay, so the cost of the product may be increasing if the chain is long. So the producer, depending upon the product, should select the distribution chain, whether depending upon the type of the product, the type of distribution chain should be selected by the manufacturer. Okay, and if two types of chains are selected, he should see that one or the other chain is not overlapped. Okay, next we have discussed about special economic zones and why the government should take initiative to set up the special economic zones. That is mainly to develop regional, or to have a regional balanced development, or to develop all the backward areas. These special economic zones need to be initiated by the government. If we don't have the special economic zones, the manufacturers or the producers, either it could be our domestic manufacturers or the foreign investors, they will not come forward to invest in the backward areas. To attract them, the government will be giving incentives. What type of incentives it will be giving? Already we discussed in the previous slide. What are the different types of incentives? It will be giving duty free imports, then tax exemptions for first 5 years, 100% tax exemptions will be there. Then no need to pay taxes. Many incentives will be given by the government for the investors who are investing in this backward areas. Okay, and we even seen what are the objectives of CEZ and what are the benefits of CEZ also. And we have seen even CEZ in Telangana state. In Telangana state also, how many are notified in Telangana state? At present in India, out of 355 notified CEZ, a total of 223 are operational. Okay, in Telangana state there are 29 CEZ in operation. In the what are the fields they are operating also we have seen. In which fields we have seen this CEZ mainly they are operated in Telangana state? One is biotechnology, information technology enabled services, that is ITES. Then gems and jewelry. In gems and jewelry also this CEZ is operated in Telangana. Then pharmaceutical formulation, next aerospace and precision engineering. Aerospace and precision engineering also this is operated. Aviation, electronic, hardware and software. Okay, so 26 CEZ have been developed by private developers in the districts of Rangareddy, Warangal and Medak, with an area of how much? 2012.8 hectares of land. Okay children, that is CEZ in Telangana state. And we have seen what are the problems in CEZ also. That is, we are having much land is selected for CEZ, but still land is vacant. Business is not set up. That is a major problem in CEZ in our state. Okay, task for the day, children. Here I told in this chapter, this is very important question, important topic, that is CEZ, where every year questions are asked from this topic. So here you have long answer type questions. Explain the objectives of CEZ and explain the advantages of CEZ. Okay, after I think that everybody are having textbooks with you. So after listening to the session, it's better you people make a practice of writing the notes in your textbook, from textbook write in your notebook. Make a practice, because directly going and writing in the examination hall and practicing in beforehand, writing in your notes, then writing in the examination hall makes a lot of difference, children. It gives a lot of perfection for you people, and you can even do the time management if you have that practice. So try to write down the notes. Even when you write, you will remember more. Okay, so try to write all the notes. Make already I think you have your notebooks, commerce notebooks. Make a note of all the notes. Even after having textbook, try to write in your notebooks. That makes a very good practice for you people, children. So here, explain the objectives of CEZ. Write all the objectives which are mentioned in the CEZ. Next, explain the advantages of CEZ also. Okay, now very short answer type questions which you get for 5 marks. So what are the zones covered by CEZ? What incentives are offered by Telangana state for the CEZ? Okay, what are the incentives offered by the Telangana state for the CEZ? This is also important question. Try to even write that answer and note down that points also, children. Next, you have very short define CEZ. In short, you may be getting small for 2 marks. You will be getting like a define CEZ, what is CEZ, like that. So even just 2 to 3 lines. For very short answer type questions, try to write 2 to 3 lines. 2 sentences or 3 sentences is enough. When you come for short answer type questions, 5 to 6 lines answers are sufficient. Like main points, you try to put it in that particular answer. Okay, children. So try to make a note of all that. And thank you one and all for giving me this opportunity. A special thanks to our principal madam, Shailaja madam, for giving me this opportunity. And a special thanks to our subject coordinator, Jarasangam principal sir, Muhammad Riyazuddin sir. And thank you very much. Thank you one and all. And stay home, stay safe, stay productive and stay connected. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. Children, the session was very interesting. As madam said, SEZs are very important. The present government is also trying to have more special economic zones for creating more employment opportunities for the upcoming citizens like you. So this session, as madam said, is very important in your examination point of view also. Please revisit this session and prepare your own notes. Thank you, madam. Thank you once again.